Jungkook had become the fastest solo artist in history to cross a particular milestone, one that combined digital streams, global sales, and cultural reach into a single, undeniable metric. To put it into perspective, artists who had spent decades building international empires suddenly found themselves trailing behind a young man from Busan who started as the youngest member of a boy group from South Korea. Industry analysts rushed to compare the numbers. Western pop legends, who had long dominated global charts, were now in Jungkook's shadow. His performance wasn't a fluke. It was sustained dominance, backed by a global fan base that operated like an organized cultural movement. Every release from Jungkook wasn't just consumed, it was amplified, dissected, and shared until it saturated platforms from TikTok to Billboard. The magnitude of this record had two immediate effects. First, it forced the music industry to admit that Jungkook was no longer simply a K-pop idol. He was, by every measurable standard, one of the most influential solo artists in the world. Second, it compelled Hybe to respond. For a company that manages not only BTS, but also a roster of rising stars, the question became, how do you manage an artist who has effectively transcended your own system? Within hours of the record being confirmed, Hybe issued a statement. But instead of the typical congratulatory tone expected from an entertainment company celebrating its biggest star, the announcement was layered, strategic, and according to some fans, even unsettling. Hybe revealed that Jungkook's world record had forced them to accelerate internal plans related to international promotions, cross-industry partnerships, and possibly even restructuring how they handle BTS's solo and group projects. The company made it clear, Jungkook wasn't just an asset, he was becoming a force that could redefine the trajectory of the company itself. And while this recognition thrilled many ARMY members, it also sparked questions. Was Hybe fully prepared to handle an artist of this magnitude? Could the company balance Jungkook's solo dominance with the collective legacy of BTS? And most importantly, what did this mean for Jungkook's own artistic freedom? What made the announcement shocking wasn't the acknowledgement of his record-breaking success. Everyone already knew Jungkook was setting history. It was the implication that Hybe might need to reinvent itself in response to one artist's meteoric rise. In a way, Jungkook had outgrown even the largest entertainment system in South Korea. For ARMY, the news was bittersweet. On one hand, they celebrated Jungkook's achievement with the same fervor that has defined their fanbase for over a decade. Social media lit up with hashtags, fan projects, and tributes that turned the announcement into a global event. But underneath the joy was a current of concern. The fandom knows Jungkook well. They've watched him grow from a shy teenager into a confident global superstar. They've seen him navigate the pressures of fame, the demands of performance, and the weight of expectations. To hear Hybe acknowledge that his success was prompting changes at the company level raised questions about whether Jungkook's individuality might be compromised or whether he would finally be granted more autonomy. Many ARMY members expressed hope that this moment would allow Jungkook to take control of his narrative, pursuing projects that aligned with his passions. Others worried that Hybe might double down on exploiting his momentum for profit, potentially straining the delicate balance between artistry and commercialization. The truth is, records come and go. In the digital era, where streaming can propel songs to astronomical numbers overnight, it's easy to dismiss milestones as fleeting. But Jungkook's record matters because of what it represents. First, it demonstrates the enduring global power of BTS, even in their individual endeavors. Despite being on military hiatus as a group, members like Jungkook have shown that their influence doesn't wane, it evolves. Second, it reflects a shift in cultural power, with a South Korean artist achieving dominance in a global industry historically dominated by Western acts. And finally, it signals a turning point in how companies like Hybe must adapt. In the past, entertainment corporations controlled every aspect of an idol's career, from music releases to public appearances. But Jungkook's global reach suggests that no system, no matter how powerful, can fully contain an artist of his magnitude. The company must evolve, or risk being overshadowed by the very star it helped create. What Hybe revealed wasn't just reactive, it was proactive. The company hinted at global initiatives that seemed tailored around Jungkook's success. These included potential collaborations with international brands, expanded solo tours, and even partnerships outside the traditional music industry, such as fashion, technology, and film. Industry insiders speculated that Hybe might be positioning Jungkook as the blueprint for the next-generation global soloist. In other words, he wasn't just a BTS member doing solo work. He was the prototype of how a single artist could dominate multiple industries at once. For ARMY, this was both exciting and nerve-wracking. On the one hand, it opened the door for unprecedented opportunities. On the other, it risked stretching Jungkook too thin, reducing his artistry to a corporate brand strategy. The tension between these two outcomes will likely define the next phase of Jungkook's career. At its core, this moment wasn't just about a record or a press release. It was about the journey. Fans remembered the young Jungkook who once said he dreamed of becoming a singer because he wanted to touch people's hearts. They recalled his countless hours of practice, his perfectionism, his vulnerability on stage. To see him now, breaking world records and prompting corporate restructuring, was both inspiring and emotional. For ARMY, Jungkook's success is deeply personal. They don't just see him as an idol, they see him as someone they've grown up with, someone whose struggles and triumphs mirror their own. The record was more than a number. It was a testament to years of dedication, resilience, and connection. One of the biggest questions raised by Hybe's announcement is how the company plans to balance Jungkook's individual dominance with the collective identity of BTS. For over a decade, BTS has functioned as a singular unit, a group whose synergy was greater than the sum of its parts. But now, with members serving in the military and solo projects taking center stage, Hybe faces the challenge of keeping the BTS brand intact while allowing individuals like Jungkook to thrive independently. The fear among some fans is that an overemphasis on Jungkook's solo career could create an imbalance. Yet, others argue that this period is precisely what BTS had envisioned when they promised to explore solo endeavors before regrouping. Jungkook's rise doesn't diminish BTS. Rather, it keeps the group relevant on a global scale during their hiatus. In this sense, Hybe's strategy must walk a fine line, leveraging Jungkook's unparalleled success without creating fissures in the group dynamic. In the music industry, records are not just milestones, they are bargaining chips. Jungkook's new world record provides him with leverage, unlike anything seen before in K-pop. With this achievement, he now holds undeniable proof of his global market value. Every negotiation, from brand endorsements to distribution deals, will be influenced by this record. Hybe, by publicly acknowledging the magnitude of his success, may have unintentionally shifted the balance of power. If Jungkook chooses to push for greater artistic freedom, expanded creative control, or even structural changes within Hybe, the company will find it difficult to refuse. After all, no corporation wants to risk alienating the artist who single-handedly redefines their global image. This dynamic positions Jungkook not only as an artist, but as a power broker within Hybe. It is a rare and unprecedented moment where the company needs him as much, if not more, than he needs the company. Outside Hybe, the global entertainment industry has been watching closely. Western record labels, particularly those in the US, have long-eyed Jungkook with interest. His English-language tracks, combined with his ability to dominate streaming platforms worldwide, have made him one of the most attractive prospects for partnerships. Hybe's statement, then, was not only directed at fans but also at competitors. It was a signal. Jungkook is central to our strategy, and we intend to keep him. This defensive posture suggests that Hybe is aware of the growing pressure from international labels, eager to lure Jungkook into their fold. For ARMY, this revelation brought mixed emotions. On one hand, it confirmed Jungkook's status as a global superstar whose talent transcends borders. On the other, it raised concerns about potential conflicts between Hybe's corporate interests and Jungkook's personal growth. One of the most striking aspects of Hybe's announcement was the way it positioned Jungkook as more than just a musician. The company hinted at cross-industry ventures that could see him dominate fashion, technology, and even film. This aligns with recent trends in global stardom, where artists expand into multi-industry empires. Think of pop icons who transition into acting, fashion entrepreneurship, or tech investments. In Jungkook's case, the opportunities are even greater because of his global fanbase. Brands know that a collaboration with him doesn't just sell products, it creates cultural moments. Every endorsement he takes on tends to trend worldwide, making him one of the most valuable figures in modern marketing. Hybe's shock announcement, therefore, wasn't just about music. It was about positioning Jungkook as a cultural icon who could redefine the entertainment landscape across multiple sectors. While Hybe painted a picture of global expansion, ARMY's response revealed the depth of their emotional connection to Jungkook. For fans, the idea of him becoming a global icon in fashion, film, or technology is thrilling, but it also raises fears of overexposure, burnout, and a potential loss of authenticity. Fans recalled Jungkook's own words about wanting to create music that speaks to people's hearts. Would Hybe's new vision allow him to stay true to that dream, or would corporate strategy overshadow his artistry? These concerns reflect a long-standing tension in the idol industry, the push and pull between personal passion and commercial success. Still, many ARMY members expressed pride, framing this moment as proof that Jungkook had finally reached the level of recognition he deserves. The emotional undercurrent was one of cautious celebration, joy at his success, coupled with protective instincts about how it might affect his future. Looking at the bigger picture, Jungkook's record and Hybe's subsequent announcement mark a watershed moment in entertainment history. Never before has a K-pop soloist achieved such dominance that their company was forced to publicly admit to restructuring strategies around them. This is not simply a success story, it is a paradigm shift. It highlights the global power of K-pop, the resilience of BTS's brand even in solo form, and the evolving role of corporations in managing artists who achieve transnational influence. In many ways, Jungkook's achievement is not just his own, but symbolic of an entire cultural movement that has redefined global pop music. At the heart of all this strategy, industry speculation, and corporate maneuvering is a young man who began as the youngest member of BTS, unsure of his place in the world. Fans remember Jungkook as the trainee who once said he wanted to become someone who could sing well and move people. They've seen him grow, struggle and triumph, and now break records that reconfigure an entire company's future. This juxtaposition, the personal journey of Jungkook against the backdrop of corporate strategy, is what makes the moment so powerful. It is not just about numbers or press releases. It is about how far he has come, and how his path continues to inspire millions